So I was actually not considering reviewing this game at all, mainly because one, I feel that I wouldn't really do a review justice because I'm a little biased. Zelda is probably one of my favorite franchises, and probably one of the reasons why I got so into video games was after playing. Well, I did play Link to the Past and things like that, and I liked them just fine. But Ocarina of Time really sealed the deal for me, and ever since then, I sort of kind of used that or like that experience as sort of my expectations for newer games. So like how much the game surprised me because that game surprised me a lot at the time, and just if I could justify the purchase, I figured that was a really good experience and so forth. With that being said, Breath of the Wild definitely justifies a $60 price tag. I was actually really surprised by the amount of depth in the game and what you could do, and it really is an open world. You can really go anywhere, and I like that because I hate when games say they're open world, but then there's these little, I guess, fine prints of the world that like you can't go to certain areas because they're kill zones, or you you clearly can't take on a challenge because you don't have the right gear for it, and it's apparently painfully obvious. This game does have that a little bit, where like some areas are ridiculously overpowered and you really shouldn't be there. But since this game is really gear based, you could pretty much like let's say stealth attack somebody, get their equipment, and then you pretty much are on par with them. There's also other cool little things too in this game that I found interesting. Like in this clip here, you'll see that I'm in a thunderstorm. Now, what's interesting about thunderstorms, certain equipment that has metal in it um, can conduct lightning, and if you conduct lightning, you get hit. I have a thunder helm, so I'm basically showing off me getting struck by lightning without getting any damage. Um, this is a pretty cool feature, and another cool feature about it is when this tall grass gets set on fire, it actually creates an upward wind gust, so that you could use your paraglider to gain some, additional air. Just little things like that in the game is really interesting because it gives you so many ways to play. I'll even show a little later other things you could do in the game that the game really doesn't make a point. It seems like these are like little features that are cool, but they don't really make like a big deal about them. And I find that kind of neat. Like I never actually ran into any case where this had like this mechanic was like a necessary addition to the game that I needed to use to progress. It pretty much was always just another way I could tackle something, but there's also other ways. Now, with that being said, there's also things in the game that they did bring to your attention that are also kind of annoying. When it rains, you really can't climb anymore because things get slippery and you slide. It's kind of cool, but at the same time, it gets really old fast because it's always after like I don't know 3 climbs, like 3 steps up, you slide down. It's always that, and that's really unfortunate. I would have rather it been like, okay, now I have to figure out how to climb this very carefully to get to the top, not just oh well, this is my third step, I'm falling. It's just it gets a little annoying. What is cool though, there are traveling merchants in the game, so if it's raining, seek them out, and they actually sell better meat products. So that's a kind of a cool little trick, I guess. So even though your adventures of climbing and going through certain landscapes is over, now you have a new thing where you want to seek out certain villagers for better equipment. Well, not equipment, food really. Um, the cooking mechanic, I wouldn't say is vital to your success in this game, but you definitely would want to take note of cooking, and it's actually kind of fun. I usually hate that whole crafting cooking mechanic in games, but in this game they made it really fun and pretty easy to follow. You just see things that add hearts, you put them together. You can pretty much do that math in your head. Sometimes if you make a really good combo, like if you put a good fish item, good meat item, and a good mushroom item together, you get like this fish platter that does even more than you'd expect. I've actually made a few items that gives me a maximum health back plus additional health with like attack up or something cool like that, and it was pretty much just me reading the ingredients carefully and then cooking it, because usually when you cook something it enhances what it normally does, It's definitely worth cooking. Keeping around raw food doesn't make any sense, and you get so much of it. You might as well, when you're in town, throw some things on the grill and see what combinations you like. You really can't go wrong with putting a bunch of meat together and then cooking it. That didn't sound right, but that does work out the best in most cases. You get like this meat skewer thing, and it usually heals about 10 to 15 health hearts. The shrines in the game is a big pull too. There's basically 120 of them. They're kind of short. They're like mini puzzles. They're really cool. They do repeat though. I've done like a major test of strength like 8 times, and it's really annoying because all it does is break your weapons, and then you get some guardian weapons that aren't even that great. Now here is some complaints. Now that I mentioned shrines and breaking weapons is your weapons really do break often. It seems like you really can't hold on to something very long. The Master Sword has a 10-minute durability charge, and shield, the Highland shield, is the only weapon that seems to have 800 durability. It actually has a pretty good length to it. You could take like 80 Guardian laser shots without parrying any of them, and it would still be okay. But that's kind of weird though, because like nothing else even comes close. It's like that is the standard. If it breaks, you have to buy a new one for 3,000 rupees, which okay, I guess that's fine. I guess that makes sense. I mean, for a shield that has 800 durability, you're probably not going to be breaking it that often anyway, so I can understand that. But what's annoying is the other weapons that you get, like they're called champion weapons from being the divine beast. They're like exclusive to certain areas. You have to go to the blacksmith of that area, pay 5 flint plus a diamond plus the I guess the base version of the weapon. So if it was like the Zora champion spear or whatever, you would need a normal Zora spear plus that 5 flint and diamond, and the durability and the damage isn't even worth it really. Diamonds are pretty common in the game. They say they're rare. Are you sure you want to do this? But honestly, I got so many that I don't even know what to do with them. You could turn them into like guardian resistant jewelry in Gerudo, the Gerudo town, but other than that, they're really just for repairing those like random, high price items, or champion items, I should say. Um, and what's interesting about doing that is if you break it, instead of it saying, oh, the champion weapon, blah blah blah, it says it's an imitation of the champion weapon, and it's like, oh, that's a little annoying. So your description changes. The damage and everything's still the same, but the description change. As far as weapons you find in the wild, are probably the ones that you're going to use the most. They range in stats. Like I've killed Lionels, I think that's how you pronounce it, and I've gotten a club that did like 50 plus 11 damage, and then I've gotten one that was like 60 and didn't have that. It just had like critical hit, and then it's interesting that they change, but at the same point, it's like if you get one that you really like and it breaks, chances are you're just gonna have to keep trying and see if you get that again. I fought the Silvermane Lionel, and I was really disappointed because it gave me a really crap weapon. It gave me like one of those flame swords at 24 damage, and I wasted one of the 60 plus damage clubs on it that I got from a blue main Lionel. It seems like blue and white main Lionels are the ones you want to fight. They're the ones that give you way more and don't have as much health as the silver. The silver just seems to be a waste of resources. It does give you more gems like diamonds, rupees, sapphires, and blah blah blah, but once again, I've gotten so many of those that it doesn't really mean anything to me anymore. Like I don't really want them now. So, and that's a little unfortunate. What you see me doing here is fighting one of the like spirit dragons, which sounds kind of cool, but this is literally how you fight it. You just shoot off a piece, and then you put this piece towards a shrine later, and there you go. You got a new shrine opened up. But here you'll see me do some more of the fun random stuff you could do, like the turn the water into ice, or even make that, like, I'm gonna make that raft float with like balloons in a second. But as far as the weapon durability goes, it is very annoying, and I kind of wish that like later weapons had some sort of like, I don't know, like permanence, I guess. I really would like to see just me, like I said, me repairing these crappy champion weapons that really are like low game, early game stuff. I would have liked to been able to do the same with some higher weapons, or even maybe once I get a higher weapon, like the further along the game I went, because some of these enemies only appear when you get further in the game anyway, like the silver ones. It would have been cool if like, oh, you got the highest weapon you got is a 70. Well, if you remake this trident now, it would be 50 or 40 or something, just more than 20, because 20 does not do anything anymore. It is really just a waste. And I also wish you could fight, play the game with your bare fist. A lot of times you kill an enemy, or you're going to kill an enemy, and your weapon breaks, and you only have like less than 20% health. Let me punch them. You do get a critical hit when a weapon breaks, though, so that's kind of neat. But for the most part, it's really just a big annoyance. And considering that shields have way more durability than weapons, I think they could have made the weapons have just as much durability as the shields, and we would have been fine. But considering that the shields are like kind of skewed, it just really makes the experience weird, because I'll be carrying the same shield for like half the game and already went through like 90 weapons. It's so odd. But I do really like this game. I like the exploration. They really like it. I think that was their goal, was like exploration, like trying to make you feel like you're discovering something new and you want to like keep changing playstyles. It definitely does that. I I would say the one thing that I can't look past isn't the durability, it's the fact that their main dungeons are lacking. Zelda used to be huge on dungeons, and this game keeps forcing you to go back outside. So with all that being said, I would highly recommend this game. I actually give it a 10 out of 10. I was gonna give it like a 9.8 or a 9.5, but I feel like that's like me being like my personal grudge against Zelda game, because like I want it to be more like Ocarina of Time with bigger dungeons. But everything else is the same, just better dungeons. But I feel like this game isn't meant to be in a dungeon. It's meant to be outside. It's Breath of the Wild. It's not Breath of the Dungeon. So I feel like that's just me having a bad expectation of the game. So I'm not going to give it less than 10. It met everything I would want a game to meet, and it's fantastic for the price. I actually say it's worth buying a Switch plus this. So like that whole bundle, and it really is a good game. I haven't played a game that's been worth the full $60. I bought it like 5 times. I bought it for the Wii U, I bought the Special Edition, the Master Edition, and the Switch version. And I think I bought the digital too. I just, put as much money as I possibly could to this game without it being ridiculous, and it still is ridiculous. So, hopefully you guys played it. Let me know what you guys think. And check out, if you want to see more gameplay, the Elgato has been really hard to deal with, but I got some Lionel slaying up, and if you guys want to see more Zelda videos, I won't monetize them because Nintendo's weird, but, check it out. Alright, thanks guys.